Thank you for joining me for this episode. In Her Own Way is a space to create and spark conversations with women around the world who are living boldly. This podcast will offer new perspectives and status quo pushing thoughts from women who speak with heart, soul, and courage.
Why? Why does divorce have to be a nasty process? Why can't adults be adults and say, yep, okay, things haven't worked out the way that we wanted it to, but we're doing this for our children?
All right, so everyone, we have Megan Piccardi, who is someone who I've actually stalked on Instagram, who is a collaborative family lawyer out of Brisbane. And I have you on because I am the product of 3 divorces. And every single divorce that I've seen between my parents and their subsequent partners has been different.
Yeah.
Some have been easier than others. Some have been, I would call, traumatic. Some have been very cordial. Some have started out good and then kind of gone pear-shaped. And I think that there is a much bigger awareness now around kind of what you would call like collaborative family separations or divorces there used to be. I would love for you just to introduce yourself, Megan, just what you do, etc. And then we're going to go into some questions.
Yeah, of course. Well, as you said, I'm a collaborative family lawyer. And I guess the main thing that I'm interested in is helping couples who are separating have a healthy divorce, which basically is 4 elements of, that I try to instill in my clients, which is having self-compassion, making sure you're taking care of yourself by, eating healthy and making sure that you're moving, 30 minutes a day, and ultimately helping them find resolutions outside the court system. Yeah.
I love that your first one is self-compassion.
Yeah.
Why is that so important, do you think? Like, from what you've seen, why do you think that self-compassion is the number one thing that you just said to me?
Yeah, I guess since I've started, practicing as a lawyer, it's hard. I guess we deal with people's problems and their problems become our problems as well. And I sort of was like, I need to be, I guess, a bit kinder, to myself. And when I started implementing those, ideas to myself, I was like, this is what my clients need. They need to be compassionate. They're going through, to be honest, a shitty time. Yeah. And they need to know that everything's going to be okay. And I guess with self-compassion, it teaches you that, common humanity, like, everyone goes through suffering, and you're not the only person that feels like this. So I guess if people going through divorce can understand that, yes, this is the feeling that I'm feeling, but it's okay because there's other people in the world that share this feeling, it sort of makes you feel like you're not alone.
Absolutely. And it also makes the whole process of resolution and self-care a lot easier.
Yeah, that's right. And especially for couples who have children together, young children, you're going to be in their life, for at least, the next 18, until they're 18. You don't want to have, I guess, a nasty separation where you don't talk to the other person. You don't want your kids being concerned about where mum and dad are going to sit at their wedding or, those life events. So I guess, by being compassionate, you can sort of help maintain a healthy relationship with, your ex-partner.
Oh, I totally agree. I mean, for someone who has had that happen, like where parents didn't speak to each other, there was yelling and screaming when we got dropped off and picked up, or, they sat on different sides of the, like what you guys call like a Christmas, we call it a Christmas concert. You guys call it like I don't remember what you guys call it. Like a Christmas show or something,
Yeah.
And stuff, or your award ceremony. And I remember like once my parents started talking, it was so much easier because it felt like as kids, you were in the middle of this chaos that you didn't really understand. So it's so true. Now, just really quickly, because I really want to just pick your brain a little bit, as someone who's been in law for 10 years and practicing now for almost 3. I mean, being a lawyer, unless of course you're working for the government or the state as like a federal prosecutor or a defense lawyer.
Yeah.
How do you think that you have grown as basically a female entrepreneur? I mean, basically that's what you are. You're a female entrepreneur in law. What are some of the lessons that you think that you've learned the past year about yourself?
Yeah. Firstly, I am so flattered that you have called me an entrepreneur because I don't think anyone has ever called me that. So
you are. I mean, what else? I mean, you are, unless you're getting paid by someone. Like,
yeah,
entrepreneur, you're positioning yourself, you're branding yourself.
Exactly. And I think, for female, like most nowadays, there's a lot of females in the profession, which is fantastic because, there's just so many, old male dinosaurs out there. I guess when we've had the practice for over 10 years, it was set up by, myself and my husband. And for me, it has been hard to, I guess, try and, be heard in the profession.
Yeah.
I'm only young as well. I'm 30, so it can be hard for people to take females seriously these days. And over a year ago, I made a decision that I didn't want to be, I guess, what the profession wanted me to be. I didn't want to be charging clients per 6 minutes, and I didn't want to fit into the mold of what people think a lawyer is. I wanted to be kind to my clients. I didn't want clients coming in here and feeling scared to talk to me, or just feeling scared to email or call me to ask a question because they were going to get billed for it. I just wanted to put myself out there and be like, yes, it's a shitty time, but I'm here to help you, and that's what my job is, and I don't want to come across a scary person. So I think that's sort of why I sort of started like doing an Instagram page and all that sort of thing, so people could get to know me first and they would be comfortable in coming and sitting in my office and telling me about tough times that are happening to them.
I love that because as a coach, a life coach, and some of those workshops and stuff like that, the biggest thing I see, and you probably see in your profession, because I've been around lawyers at like a leadership conference, and I'm like, whoa, you are so burned out and so angry, like, especially as a woman in a kind of a masculine-ish type position, working kind of in an old boys club. It's hard in and of itself. But I love what you said. In order to ease that tension, what I decided to do was not to conform and to listen to what I was good at and position myself in that, even if it felt like a complete walk away from what I was told to be. So good. It's so powerful. Do you feel like because you've kind of come into yourself in the last year that you enjoy your job more?
Yeah, definitely. I feel over the past, year or so, since I've mainly stepped away from the court process and have just focused on, collaborative family law, I feel empowered. I feel that I'm actually making a difference, because I guess when people start law, they have all these hopes and dreams that they're going to, help people, but it's not always that way in the profession. When you actually step into a law office, it can be quite different, where I guess most lawyers push people towards court, and I'm trying to drag them away, saying you don't want to go there, it's a traumatic experience, sort of thing. Yeah.
Why do you think that people why is there kind of an old school or an approach to push people into court as opposed to resolution? Is it because it's easier, like less time consuming, or is it why?
Honestly, I think it's the way lawyers, are developed in law school. I think that's where it really starts, is, you sort of go to law school and you have some books and it's all about, you know, the court system. And I guess, I decided I don't like going to court. It's not a fun place to be. And if as a lawyer, I don't enjoy being there, what are my clients feeling? They're probably not, you know, enjoying, you know, waiting around all day to speak to a judge for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
It's just not a nice place to be. But I guess it probably starts with law school, and they probably need to help lawyers understand that, you know, court really should be a last resort. You should try and, I guess, help people resolve their matters before, you know, trotting off to the family law court.
Yeah, absolutely. So why divorce law? Why did your husband set up the firm first? Like, was he a lawyer first and set up the divorce law firm? How did that happen?
Yeah, so my husband Tony, he is a property lawyer. So he's a completely different lawyer to me.
Totally different lawyer.
Yeah, and he speaks a different law language to what I speak. So he set the firm up, and while he was, you know, while we were creating Piccardi Legal, I was still working, you know, in private practice for other firms. And I guess when I came on board, you know, in Piccardi Legal 5 years ago, like, you know, properly, because we were able to employ both of us, I was like, okay, well, I've sort of been doing this for a while, and I want to do something different. I want to make a mark on, you know, on this, on family law. And it was always something that I've been interested in as well. You know, as lawyers, we want to help people. And I think if I can help people through this time in their lives, I feel like I've accomplished something.
Absolutely. And I think that I feel like law and even medicine, like as a nurse working in medicine now, being kind of the new quote unquote breed of doctors, it's absolutely changing to kind of what you're talking about, which is this kind of more open, like I guess you call it quote unquote bedside manner, if you will.
Yeah.
And there's a lot more consciousness around divorce. So when you're looking at the way that you approach it kind of versus the court, you know, that kind of rigidity, screw the other person out of as much as possible kind of situation.
Yeah.
How would you say that the way that you approach it is different? Like if someone was to be like, okay, so Megan, why are you different than the other person down the road? What would you say? How do you approach it differently?
Yeah, I guess when people come to see me, you know, I'm more about what do they value, what do they want out of this process, and not, I guess, in my first initial consult, it's not let's sit down and talk about the Family Law Act. It's let's sit down and talk about where you're at and where do you see yourself in, you know, 1 year's time to, you know, 5 years' time. Because if you sort of step into that court system, you're going to be there for a long time. And is this something that you want on your shoulders for the next 3 years? But I guess, you know, the approach that I offer is, you know, is compassionate, and I'm based on people getting a win-win solution rather than, you know, if you go down the road, it's, well, you know, let's give me all this money and I'll you know, take you to court and we'll let a judge decide. You know, why would you want to hand your life over to a judge who doesn't even know who you are? You know, you want to be able to maintain those decisions yourself and, you know, keep the control.
Do you find that when you're working like in like resolution or discussions or whatever I don't know what you call it, but I would imagine a resolution.
Yeah.
With other lawyers who are a bit more of the sharkish or the bit more masculine.
Yep.
How do they respond to you? Do they try to be I would imagine they try to be patronizing to you or downplay your quote unquote softness.
Yeah. it's hard because I guess lawyers like to send nasty letters. That's what we're trained to do. And sort of, some of the stuff that can go in the letters is just uncalled for. It's not going to help. It doesn't help anyone really. And, sort of when I do get those letters where it's not helping, it's just pointless, or pointing fingers or he said, she said. I basically tell them, hey, I'm not here to, enter those discussions. We take a collaborative approach and we want to work with you to make, to resolve the issues between the parties. Yeah. And I think sometimes when they sort of get that letter from me, they sort of take a step back and they're like, oh, okay, well, I don't think that's really going to get their back up, so we need to take a different approach. Yeah. But most lawyers are, I guess, there are lawyers out there who are good and want to help people as well. So it's, I think the collaborative practice is starting to come out more here in Australia. It's just a shame that it's just a slow process. Whereas over in the States, it's been there for over 20 years. And so it's certainly a new process here in Australia.
Yeah. You can't ever have like a couple come to one lawyer, can you? Do you always have to have a couple being represented by two different people, or could you have a couple like come to you to like work out a divorce proceeding?
Yeah, unfortunately, we can only act for one party. So the other person needs to get their own independent legal advice. But sort of if they can if the other party goes to a collaborative lawyer as well, it sort of makes the process a lot more smoother and calmer.
Yeah, excellent. So what are some of the tips that you have for someone that is maybe going through a divorce? You kind of talked about the other ones of self-compassion, eating, exercising.
Yeah.
What are some of the other, like, yes, that's nice, but what are some of the brass tacks? Like, okay, this is how you can protect yourself. This is what, these are the steps forward that you need to be mindful of.
Definitely. I guess when most people come in to see a lawyer, other lawyers are concerned about, well, if you're both on the account, then you should make sure that you need both signatures to withdraw money and et cetera, et cetera. But I tend to find when people start doing that, if someone goes and withdraws all the money from a bank account, it doesnn't really help. It doesn't help the situation. I guess if you've got big concerns that something bad is going to happen, then you should if there's domestic violence or something like that, then you should definitely protect yourself in those situations. But I think speaking to a lawyer straight away is some good advice. Get some good advice, because everyone's matter is different. No one's family is the same.
Yes.
And I think getting some strong legal advice at the beginning, so you can know what your rights are and sort of what you can and can't do at the beginning. Some people don't get lawyers involved for 6 months to a year, and it can be a little bit messy. But I think the first step is knowing lawyers aren't scary. We're here to help you, and just go have a chat with someone.
Yeah, and I think also it's I think too, I think sometimes people can be, like you said, laissez-faire about it, where they don't know where to even start. They're not getting proper legal advice. They're just asking their friends or whatever. So getting someone, and I love the idea of looking for someone that is in collaborative family law. Like, I've heard of that term. Like, so can you actually Google that and say like collaborative family law practitioner?
Yeah, definitely. So in Queensland, we have our own association, and there's also an international collaborative practitioners association as well. which I'm also a member of, and that lists all the international practitioners out there who do collaborative family law. But yeah, I think most states should have their own associations where you can go onto their website and find out who the members are and who you can go speak to.
That's so cool. And what about advice as we just kind of close out today for people that are going through a separation or divorce to have children? What have you seen has worked really well in your practice with couples?
Yeah, I guess, my first tip is be kind to yourself, and be kind to the other person as well, to the other parent, or because obviously you enter into a marriage, happy and in love, and no one expects to end up in that position. So although you're having a tough time, the other person's probably having a tough time too. So being kind to each other, and really when it comes to children, it's what's in the best interest of the child. And, they want to have a meaningful relationship with both of their parents as well. So it's sort of acknowledging the child's need to, speak to the other parent and have that contact as well. Yeah.
I think it's really good. I think that there's a lot more conversations about that, especially, I think even, what is it, Gwyneth Paltrow and Chris Martin, the conscious uncomfortable.
Yes.
Yes. Like awareness of, okay, there is a different way. And
yeah,
that it doesn't have to be traumatic. And, even Jennifer Hainer and Ben Affleck, I mean, that has been, she could have just dumped him on the side of the road with all the stuff, but she's been really quite, gracious and whatnot to support them.
Exactly. And it's funny that you should mention Gwyneth Paltrow and Chris Martin, because I remember when they announced their separation and it was this unconscious uncoupling, people lost their minds and thought that they were crazy. And I'm like, why? Why does divorce have to be a nasty process? Why can't adults, just be adults and say, yep, okay, things haven't worked out the way that we wanted it to, but we're going to, remain friends, and we're doing this for our children. It's, it's not a bizarre concept, but I guess we just need to keep spreading the word out there, and so people sort of come around and accept it.
Beautiful. I love it. I think it's great. I love following Instagram. I think that you're such, do you know Dr. Nikki Stamp?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's the same. Like, you guys are in kind of what I would call like male dominated, masculine, boys club professions, and you're really paving a way for a conversation to happen. It needs to happen, but also giving permission for women in this field to really be themselves and to not conform to what they've been told to, and to actually have a law practice or a law firm that feels like them and attracts the clients that they want to work with. I think it's awesome. So, Megan, anything else that you want to say to anyone today? And also, where can we find you?
Yeah. So I'm on Instagram, which is Megan Piccardi _divorce lawyer, and also on Facebook as the Healthy Divorce Lawyer. And our website as well, piccardilegal.com.au. But yeah, it's been really great talking to you. I've been stalking you on Instagram as well. So
I don't talk about law at all, but yeah. I think it's great. I think that there are just so many brave women out there who are quietly or not quietly bucking the system. And doing that is not an easy choice. Choosing not to conform and choosing to really listen to what you want to bring, even though it feels counterintuitive or countercultural, is really hard. And it initially doesn't feel like it's going to pay off, because you're kind of like in the middle of, the wilderness. I just saw on Instagram that you were buying Brene Brown's new book. Have you read Braving the Wilderness?
Yeah, I have. I love that book. I just bought a Brene Brown book this morning.
I know, I saw it on Instagram, the Dare to Lead. Yeah. I think that, sometimes when we as women are either as an entrepreneur or in a position or in a profession that feels when we kind of step into a different direction, we do feel like we're braving the wilderness.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, how many law firms, or I don't know, many lawyers that are on Instagram with like, you know, colorful dresses and balloons. But that's you. And that's what you represent to your clients. And I think it's so refreshing. So thank you so much for what you're doing. Thank you so much for sharing about your journey in collaborative family law. I think it's such a great and important topic.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's been great.
Thank you for joining me for this episode. If you'd like to know more about me as a life coach, public speaker, and about my journey, please head to my website, mishpope.com, and click on the tab Connect with Mish for more information. Can't wait to see you back for the next episode.